the fans will make the content for you, right? Because like with JRE, he'll make a video and then fans will chop that up for him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, oh God, he's got the deal going. Oh man,
He's got his soldiers out there working for him.
I know, man. I know. That's the fucking. I feel like that's the pinnacle that most people are trying to get to when it comes. Cause I think he's just shown like what's capable, like with like the possibilities of like podcasting. And I don't know if like that would have been realized if you didn't have somebody like him making who knows how much. But he like changes businesses as well. He like the Tim Tam comes to mind. I got that over there. Like they fucking blew up their business overnight, dude.
Yeah.
It blows me away. Do you listen to a lot of podcasts?
A few of them. I wouldn't say a lot, but strategically I listen to a few, and it depends on the mood or the time of day.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a Joe Rogan or an Andy Frisella from the moment I wake up until the moment I clock in.
Yeah.
Just to get the juices flowing in the right positive direction mentally.
Yeah.
Whether it's like something deep that Rogan would go into, it could be, a Neil deGrasse situation.
Yeah.
Or I've got, Andy Frisella screaming in my face.
Yeah. Yeah. It just has a good catalyst to the day.
Yeah. It's better than scrolling through Facebook and.
Agreed.
Yeah. It's not a good way to start a day.
I agree. And when you're actually like, because you're a creative and you create and you do things, like you run your business, like you're a busy fucking dude. You're involved with like several different things. When you're doing all of that, you don't have time to sit there and consume. You know what I mean? Like, who has the time? I found since I'm doing more, I don't have as much time to listen to as many podcasts. And so you really have to like pick and choose and kind of cherry pick what you're listening to.
Yeah, because I find myself on social a lot.
Yeah.
But it's for all business purposes.
Right.
And so like when there's, breaking news or something happens and somebody will be like, oh, did you hear about that earlier today? And it's like, well, no, I didn't, but I've still been on social all day long, but that's because I'm managing 24 accounts.
It's different
for clients.
It's work, right?
Like somebody else will get bored when they're out in public and they're automatically whipping out their phone and just scrolling through their feed.
Yeah.
But me, I feel like I'm whipping out my phone and I'm posting or I'm creating a meme for a client.
Right.
Or I'm looking at what the trending hashtags are, so because I have a post coming up in an hour.
Right.
It's all business related.
Right. Yeah. Or engagement's important too. I mean, sometimes you got to go make comments and like on some things. Like, it's just all a part of the beast, bro.
Yep.
The beast of social. We live in a hell of a time. It's funny that you mentioned, well, not funny because we've talked about Andy before, but I'm doing a 75 hard program.
I saw that.
Dude, it is something else. I think today's day 16. I think today's day 16. Wednesday? Yeah,
So
day 16.
you're deep.
Yeah, man, I'm
You're
getting
deep in it.
I mean, it's not very deep though. I mean, 75. I mean, so I'm like a seventh of the way.
Yeah, but 16, I mean, that's a good, it's like smoking. Once you get over that first hump,
Yeah.
when you're quitting smoking, once you get over that first hump, as long as you stick to it, you've either got the discipline or you don't.
Right.
I'm self-aware to know that when he started that, I was going to, and I was like, no, I'm not ready yet.
Dude,
So
ditto.
I just didn't do it.
Ditto. Yeah, I think I tried and failed like half-assed, probably like 5 or 6 times. All right, today's gonna be the day, and I didn't do it. And I just wasn't mentally like there. And then I knew it was gonna be like a lot of alcohol for like the 4th and just different things over the summer. So I'm like, all right, the 4th is it though. Like after the 4th of July, like I'm fucking done, man. So like that's whenever I just mentally commit, and I'm like, all right, here we are. And it wasn't too. I mean, it's hard to like kind of get in the swing of things, but is for me. I need that kind of structure. Like I need to say like I need these hard and fast rules to live my life by, because otherwise shit would just go off the rail. Like whenever I was fighting, I was like, all right, I have a fight in 8 weeks. I cannot fuck this up, because if I don't make weight, then it's gonna look bad on me. It's just whole cascading things, and I didn't want that negative attention. So like it kept me in line. But now there's like no negative attention. It's just nobody knows if you don't do it except for you.
Right.
So it's man, like you gotta fucking commit, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
I've been up and down the roller coaster. So growing up, I was always the skinny kid.
Yeah.
In high school, I was the one at 15 years old. I'm pounding protein shakes in the morning to try and put weight on.
Okay.
And then kids happened. And it was like it became easy to be the big guy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I tore my ACL on both knees at different times,
Oh
and
shit. How'd you do that?
focusing martial arts.
Martial
Yeah,
arts?
focusing on the business. Um, 2-3 weeks could go by, and you're like, oh shit, I haven't been to the gym in
Yeah.
a while. You know, so I used to put a lot of pressure and stress on myself, but
Yeah.
one of my business mentors kind of taught me, you know, to build your pillars. You know, you've got your finances, your family, your religion, your health and fitness, and you have these different pillars, and you're at different levels on each pillar, and that's how you can like kind of not judge, but kind of track the success, what you would call your own success.
Yeah.
And so right now, the health and fitness is definitely not my focus.
Yeah.
It's all the kids in sports getting ready to go back in school.
Yeah.
You know, doing the dad thing. I've got one kid going into 8th grade, one going into high school.
Oh man.
One just came out of kindergarten, so it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So I've got that, and also, you know, I'm at the point where I'm really pushing to scale my business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when I get up in the morning, I go right into business instead of choosing to go get that 6:30 a.m. jiu-jitsu class.
Yeah.
Even though I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, I know myself enough to know that I don't have the mental capacity to give it the attention that it deserves
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah, man. I don't do the 6 a.m. jiu-jitsu anymore either. So I was waking up and I wanted to like just get right into work and just start. But I found, um, I operate best with like a solid routine in the morning for like self-care, and then it just fucking rocket fuel for the rest of the day. So like for me, that's what's so great about 75 hard, because like whenever I was fighting, I usually like wake up and I go do a run or some sort of workout in the morning, and there's just so many benefits. Like working out in the morning helps reset your cortisol levels and suppress melatonin, just different things like that. So like you're waking up and you're like you're just getting going. So for me, the 75 hard is pretty cool because it's essentially just putting into place like a solid morning routine for me, because like I'm getting up and I know that I have to go get one workout in outside, so I go do that first thing in the morning. So whether I don't, and it's also kind of cool because it doesn't matter what the weather's going to be like I'm going to do it. Like the other day it was fucking flooding out, dude. I was running through this neighborhood, and at the bottom of a hill there was all this water just kind of pooled up, like the drain couldn't take it fast enough. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I couldn't really go around it. I mean, I had to like run through somebody's yard. I'm like, whatever, I'll just go through it. I thought it was just going to be like maybe to my ankles. Bro, I got through that. It was almost like up to my ass. It was like I have long legs. I'm not a short dude.
So you went swimming on your morning run.
A little bit, a little bit. But just the morning routine portion of that, I found it just, whenever I wasn't doing it, and it's like when you're not doing something, it's easy to like keep not doing it. You know what I mean? Like mentally you'll tell yourself like, oh, if you do that, you'll probably be more tired and you won't be able to get this other thing done. But what I found is, it actually took me like not doing it for a little bit to realize that like whenever I get up and I do that exercise in the morning and like I get that movement, it actually gives me more energy for the rest of the day, and I have better mental clarity. And I don't know, man, it's pretty, like I just feel like a good like self-care practice in the morning is just so vital, as opposed to like hopping like right on like a screen or something and getting right to work, which I don't know, there actually might be, I feel like there's probably a study or something on this, I don't know. But anecdotally it fucking works for me.
Yeah, and I've been up and down on that roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, I had a stint, I'd say over the course of about 8 months.
Yeah.
I went from 270 to 215,
Oh, wow.
almost back down to fighting weight.
Yeah.
And it was because of morning routines and constant work ethic on the fitness part. But I also had people holding me accountable.
Yeah, that's huge.
And when I transitioned away from that, all I had was myself,
Right.
and then everything else in my world became a priority, and taking
Except
care
for
of
you.
myself became last priority.
Yeah, we all do that. I think it's so interesting how we do that. Like the number one thing that we all have is our health. Yeah, it's always the first thing on the back burner. You know what I mean? Like we take care of everybody else before we take care of ourselves, and that's super. I feel like I've noticed it's pretty common of. I want to say like, I don't know what the right word to say. I want to say high achievers, but it's obviously not all high achievers. But like, you see it a lot in people in business. especially high achieving ones, especially, right? Because as people grow their business and they have employees and they have people around them, like you have a team, even if it's like a small team, like you're worried about them, right? And then next thing you have kids, so then you start worrying about your kids, and then you just start worrying about everybody around you winning except for yourself. Well, like you're still winning, but just like not in that area. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I've just noticed that trend. Gary Vee used to talk about that a lot. Do you follow him much? Yeah. Yeah, man. But so how was your trip?
It was good.
Yeah.
It was probably the longest production tour to date that I've done.
Yeah. How long was it? 2 weeks?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Whoa, where'd you go?
I was in I think a total of 8 different cities, locations, for all different reasons. But it's kind of playing into the long-term goal of like video courses and writing books on like how to be good at photography, but also like make a business out of it.
Yeah.
So the long-term goals is the video courses. It's called Businessography 101.
That's cool.
How to turn your passion into a profit.
Nice.
I actually started in sales and then I picked up a camera. But most of the guys that I bring onto my team as freelancers, they're really creative and really awesome, but they can't land a gig to save their life.
Yeah.
So that's the umbrella that I build with those guys.
Yeah. You
But
see
then
that a lot with probably creatives.
coming up and not coming from a lot of money, I didn't travel. I didn't get on a plane for the first time until my honeymoon at 21. So wanting to travel was always a big deal. So then it was there was this formula that I kind of built. It wasn't a new idea by any means, but it was basically how to workation. So as a photographer and videographer specifically, you can hit up some villa in a cool vacation spot and say, hey, here's my work. I'm going to come stay at your place for 5 days, and you're going to pay me only half of what I would normally charge to make content for you so that you can put it on your website and then get more business.
Yeah, vagabond.
And if you deliver, it's worth it. So instead of going to a place and spending $2,000 on a vacation, you can get that same vacation. And as a creative, you're going to take pictures anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're going to go on vacation, but instead of dropping $2,000, you're going to come home with 4.
Yeah.
So it's a how to workation kind of thing.
Dude, my brother and his wife are doing that. They're actually hosting a retreat in Jamaica at this little resort there. And they simply just, reached out to them. I mean, the resort already has like everything in place. And they're essentially just going to be like hosting some classes and doing some promo. And boom, I think they have to pay for their travel, but like stay is for free. And then they can make money on like anything that they sell or anything like that. So it was just a simple email and ask.
Yeah. It's not difficult at all. I did 7 days in Costa Rica.
Oh, dude.
I did 5 days in Puerto Rico. We did a Napa Valley trip, and then I've done a bunch of like little small things since then. This past production trip, it's the closest thing I can get to being a rock star because I've never been good at like instruments other than like DJing.
Yeah.
I've been a mobile DJ
nice.
for like 19 years.
Oh, for real?
So I can mix a beat like nobody else. But I've tried guitar, I've tried piano. It never.
Just not it for you.
It just didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm like that with
But I'm
languages.
really good behind a camera. So I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I want to tour. I want to travel. I want to make money traveling. So I'd put together these little production tours. And I used kind of the formula that I learned through my days of being a booking manager for record labels and management companies for actual bands.
Yeah.
And I just applied it to the photography business.
Good move.
So I went to Lesterville, Missouri, for some campgrounds. Mark Twain Forest, there's a little cottage place that rents out cabins down there. I stayed there for free and enjoyed that amazingness.
Yeah, it
and
is
just
beautiful.
made some photo and video for them and
Yeah.
blew up their business. Van Buren, Missouri, with the big natural springs.
Where's that at?
It's about 2.5 to 3 hours south.
South? Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was thinking.
So, like, do you know if you know where Lesterville is? It's down by like Steelville, where they do. It's on the Black River. They do all the campgrounds.
I used to
and
go
stuff.
camping on Black River every year growing up.
Yeah, that's my jam. Van Buren's like another hour and a half south of that.
Oh, okay.
Then I was in Emory, Texas, just east of Dallas.
Okay.
Did some studio building and marketing strategies for a bulldog breeder.
That's cool.
So that was fun. And then I went from there to Nashville to do some stuff with my business mentor, Ask a Millionaire, Sean Thomas.
Sean Thomas.
left Nashville with one of my guys and went to Syracuse, New York. And then from there, drove to Clayton, New York, Thousand Islands.
Okay.
And spent a few days doing speedboats. It was a fun run for Make-A-Wish.
I saw some of that work you're posting.
It was so much
I
fun.
bet it was, dude.
It was the first time I went 150 in a speedboat on the water.
Dude, I just went on the first boat ever just like a few weeks ago whenever I was in Florida. Like, I've never been like on a boat with a motor in the back. I've done like paddle boats and canoeing and kayaking, but I've never been on like a speedboat before.
Yeah.
And then this wasn't even like a legit ass like speedboat like you were on.
Well, they've got what they call center consoles, which is like it almost looks like a really small yacht. It's got like that overhead piece.
Yeah.
But even they go 50, 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And that's fast when the wind's in your face.
Oh, no, it is.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how fast this boat went on. It was probably about that, though, 40 or 50. But I'm thinking, you say you went 150 miles an hour on one of those boats?
Yeah.
Dude, those things are intense, bro.
And so I have a small drone, DJ Mavic, Mavic Pro. And so there's shots where you can fly the drone, but, it's got the 3-axis gimbal. So there's also times where I'm just holding it and, getting
your shots.
Steadicam type shots.
Yeah,
so
because it
I'm in
stabilizes.
this speedboat at 150 with a death grip on this drone, like holding it up.
I'd be so scared the wind catch that shit.
I mean,
Were you worried?
it would have had to have taken me. Like I had a grip on it.
Yeah.
Right? But still, like I have my feet I'm in the back. I have my feet planted up against the seats.
Yeah.
I've got the remote and my phone in this hand is the monitor. I'm like trying to film with the drone. And my face is like flapping in
the wind. Look like a dog with like the hanging out the door.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Anything for the shot though, right?
Man, we got some great footage. And it was awesome. Actually, it went so well that we got to Sunday, which was supposed to be like a makeup day. So it was supposed to rain. It didn't rain at all. So we got to Sunday, and there was nothing to shoot. We had it all done. So I went ahead and wrote up a quick package for them to plug into their, what do you call it? Auction.
Okay.
So they actually auctioned off to all of the boat owners and people in the run a like boat feature promo video.
Oh.
And so
you would feature that person who won it?
Yeah. So I forget how much they auctioned it off for, but somebody won, and I went out in the water with them for like an hour on Sunday and made this whole like feature video for them and their boat.
Yeah.
And it ended up being somebody that didn't have a team. It was just like him and his dad. And he had just recently gotten the boats. It was like the first big thing.
That's cool.
So it turned into, we made this like, not only did the money in the auction go to Make-A-Wish charity, but now this guy who just had his boat purchased, he's got this like priceless piece of video where it's like a music video of him and his dad out on Thousand Islands chilling in the speedboat.
That's dope.
It's like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
10, 15 years from now, it's going to be the most priceless thing he owns.
Dude, that's dope.
So,
yeah, it's so amazing what you can do with the camera. Like you said, in an hour, you created something that's going to last forever.
Yep.
Like, it really means something to that dude for sure.
Yeah.
How long was the video?
For that one?
Yeah.
45 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's legit. People don't realize like how much content you have to record just for like a little bit of time. Like it takes.
And I sent him a bunch of extra stuff, like individual 15-second clips of just like epic shots, and
Yeah.
there was like behind the scenes pictures that I took of him and his dad while they were driving.
Yeah.
Just it was a whole experience on top of the final product.
Right.
So that's what I'm all about. Like just creating awesomeness for other people.
Yeah, creating that experience.
I've been in the wedding industry forever, so pictures and video is the thing that you take with you after a wedding. So like creating positivity for legacy is kind of where it's at.
Yeah, well, you're telling visual stories, right? I mean, it's definitely one of those things that I don't know if it's not underappreciated, but it's definitely becoming, I think, more and more appreciated. Like the more digital our society is becoming, because we're able to everybody has a phone and a camera and can capture things, but not everybody can do it well, right?
Right.
So like whenever you see it done well, it's like, man, like that's some pretty special shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So how did you get started into it then? I mean, sales was your background. I mean, you did martial arts beforehand. Like, where did this like creative, energy
I had
come?
always wanted to be a photographer, but never had the means to buy a camera. and we had beepers and flip phones back in the day, right? So it wasn't a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mobile DJ at the time, and a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I got this job at Glamour Shots in the mall, and I'm the guy that stands out in the mall and lures people into Glamour Shots for the business because he was a mobile DJ, super outgoing, easy to talk to people. He
flyers
was
and shit.
he was that guy, and he was like, "Man, they're hiring. It's an easy job. You should come in." And I was like, "I don't know anything about photography. I've never touched a camera, but I want to."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Fuck it, I'm doing this."
Mm-hmm.
So I went in and I did the interview and talked my way through it enough to where I got to the second half of the interview, which is, let's go back to the studio. Angela was her name, the manager. I'll never forget it. She's like, "Let's go back to the studio, take some pictures. We'll see what's up."
Mm-hmm.
And so I went. It was like a studio setup, like Glamour Shots, but same as like JCPenney. Like
Right.
everything is set. There's the set. There's the lights. Just pick your camera up. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna assume that everything's good with this camera. So it took me a second to find the on button, but I turned it on and I just focused on making the subject in the photo have a good time. The pictures were secondary, and that was like an instant thing. But that was the launch.
Yeah.
So the pictures ended up being shit, but I got hired because I was able to like be comfortable and create a good experience for the model.
Yeah, that's important.
It was crazy. And so I got hired, and Angela introduced me to the owner, Rod, and he immediately saw through my bullshit. And he was like, "Okay, well, you don't know shit about photography, but I'm going to teach you." And so that was really my first step forward into, okay, because I don't have an hour of college under my belt with everything that I've ever done.
Oh, good for you.
But that was the first step in, okay, well, I'm just going to, if there's something I want to do, I'm just going to find someone who's doing that well.
Yeah.
And sponge off of them, learn from them, become a mentee.
That's a good way to go.
Of them.
So mentors is always that's always been like
100%.
a big part of your life.
100%. And
yeah.
I'm a on the job training, learn by doing kind of guy anyway.
Yeah.
I can't learn anything out of a book. Give me a video or just do it, and I'll do it right when you're done.
Yeah, I found like I can listen to somebody and or I can even read it and I can somewhat comprehend it. But if it's like something that I actually like have to physically do, I just need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't matter if you show it to me. Like it just doesn't register as important until I'm physically doing it.
Right. I always contributed that to martial arts. 'Cause I've been in martial arts since 11, so it's like doing it and getting that like muscle memory and learning by watching and then repeating was always kind of ingrained into me. So I feel like that's where it came from.
Yeah, it's a very natural way to learn. As a kid, we tend to do what we see, right? So your first martial art was that karate?
Taekwondo.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know what the official classification would be.
Yeah.
But the lineage was direct from Junri,
I don't know
which was, I guess, the guy who initially brought it over to
America.
America.
Oh, really? Oh, that's dope.
So we were part of a studio where it was very traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Like our sparring sessions were full contact kickboxing. We never did point sparring. Anybody from our studio that would go to competitions, if it was for kata, we would do like regular Taekwondo tournaments.
Okay.
But we would never like spar in Taekwondo tournaments because we never did point sparring. So all of our guys would always be the ones getting disqualified. I went in as an orange belt for Taekwondo, but because of the guys that I was running with, I got disqualified for hitting a guy in the face instead of on the pad, on the head pad.
Oh.
So from that moment forward, it was all full contact kickboxing.
Okay. You're like, this stuff is
yeah.
soft. I need something tougher.
It definitely wasn't, we would always say it's not the Taekwondo. Like, we never did that in class. So I feel fortunate in that because once that progressed into Kenpo and then kickboxing, a big focus on boxing because I was the skinny kid. I knew how to throw flashy kicks, but I didn't know how to throw a punch. So I pulled the guys at the gym that were already doing Golden Gloves and was like, okay, I'm not kicking for the next 6 months. And I would go through ranks where nothing in the sparring classes had anything to do with legs.
That's hard to do.
Until it got to the point where I was like, all right, I'm really good with my hands.
Yeah.
And then it was like well-rounded.
Yeah. That's tough to do to put yourself in like that uncomfortable situation. and try to get better. I remember whenever I started, because I came from like a wrestling background. Whenever I started striking, I felt like I was never gonna get better. But like logically, I told myself like it's impossible to suck forever.
Hmm.
Like eventually, you have to get better.
Right.
It feels like you never will though.
Yeah. It's and if you're not constantly pushing yourself, you get comfortable.
Yeah.
One of my mentors, Tom Black, it's not his direct quote, but he says it a lot, so I contribute it to him.
That works.
He says success is nothing more than a progressive realization of a worthwhile goal or dream.
That's good.
So that means you don't have to be naturally talented at it. You just have to progressively get better.
Right.
And you can do that with anything.
Right.
So
Yeah, you really can.
that's a really great way of looking at it.
Yeah, that's an important lesson to learn. Not everybody learns that lesson. You know, some people, they just feel like, and I don't know if it's just the difference between like a growth mindset and the scarcity mindset. You know what I mean? They just feel like you're just either born with it or you aren't. Oh, it must be nice. It must be you're lucky. This shit gets on my nerves, dude.
Yeah.
But where do you think you developed that? Was that kind of developed early on through martial arts, or is there anything you can pinpoint that you're like, oh, okay, like it made sense to you?
I think before martial arts had a big factor because I started when I was 11 and got black belt at 16, and it was my life from in that time period. My instructor, my sensei, was basically my number one father figure. He was my best friend's dad that lived across the street.
Okay.
They moved in across the street when I was 11, and it only took like 4 times of my friend having to leave our play fort
Yeah.
to go with his dad for me to go, where are they going? Oh, they're going to the studio. What studio? Karate. I want to learn karate.
Yeah.
And then it was all over from there.
Yeah. The rest is
But,
history.
you know, just like anybody else, I had a not so great childhood. So I was forced to grow up real quick from like 4. So, and I have a younger brother that's 4 years younger than me. So
Oh, wow.
I grew up quick. You know, I was the man of the house from a very early age. So being forced into that, you have to be responsible. Either you figure it out or life sucks.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted life to suck. So it's always been like, you know, at 14, if you want that new Sega Genesis, go cut a bunch of lawns
Right.
to make the money and go get it. you know?
Right. Yeah, 100%. I started my first lawn business whenever I was probably 12 or maybe like 13. I was pretty young. My best friend and I, anytime if it snowed, we were out knocking on doors, see if we could shovel people's driveways, cutting grass. We like competed against each other for cutting grass. But yeah, I understand that mentality for sure. Like if you want something, you gotta go out and get it. Oh man.
And I feel like I'm in a cool spot now because, you know, my oldest is 14. He's starting high school. And so he just kind of got into I'm going to see if neighbors want me to cut their grass. And
Yeah.
I want to buy this new PS1 or whatever. Xbox One, I guess. Xbox One. That's what that's what it is.
Sure, dude. Yeah, PS4, I think is what
But
they're on.
out of default, you know, his mom's a photographer also.
Oh, really?
Part-time. I don't know what she does full-time. But, I mean, she's been a photographer longer than me, if I remember. So he's, by default, been picking it up, and he actually took some classes in school last year. So without pushing him, I'm trying to help him to that realization of, the pictures that you've already taken, let me show you how you can go on iStock Photo and sell them evergreen and make the same amount, if not more money than you'll make in a weekend cutting grass for your neighbors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, people buy stock photos. Dude, are you going to try to steer them towards college at all?
So here's my long-term, short-term goals. So I've got 5 boys, right? From 1st grade to 9th grade.
Yeah.
And forever, I've always told everybody I'll be a millionaire / financially independent by the time I'm 45. But I got rid of the 45, and I just said by the time my oldest son graduates. So I've got 4 years to go to get to the point where when he's ready to graduate, I'll be able to say, okay, whether it's starting your own business or going to college, I'm going to fund that. And hopefully my influence will be more towards, okay, well, I want college for this specific purpose and or starting a business.
Yeah. Do you worry that doing something like that would like hinder him because like he's missing the struggle?
I don't think so because I'm not easy on him.
Yeah.
Everything gets earned.
Yeah. So you're teaching him before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it'll just be a little more easy in the sense that he'll have that support,
Yeah.
but it won't be a spoiled
Yeah.
type of situation.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, it's definitely different whenever they see like the come up and they see the
Hmm.
struggle, right? I can remember talking to some kids like whenever I was younger. I feel like I kind of grew up in a I think I grew up around like mostly scarcity mindseted people. Like very like my grandmother who was one of the most influential people like growing up. I grew up on like a dirt road like in a farm like outside of Potosi, Missouri, man. Like Potosi only had 1,200 people or 2,100 people or whatever it was. And like I grew up like outside of that, like for the
Wow.
most part, like on a fucking farm on a dirt road for real. But I can like sometimes like now that I'm older, I look back on certain things, like being around my grandmother, and I realize like, man, I was around a lot of like scarcity like mindset, and like but so whenever I would see kids that like were like super well off, like I didn't like have this idea like, oh, like, well, how can I also do that? I was always like, oh, that must be nice. Oh, dude, your parents are rich, man, you don't have to worry about anything. Like I was that little kind of shithead kid. And I remember one kid one time, he was just like, dude, he's like, yeah, he's like, my dad's like I think he was like a brain surgeon or something. He's like, yeah, he is, but like he's like, there's a lot of money like that goes with that as far as like expenses. And like he wasn't saying in those words, but he's like, we're not as rich as you think, is basically was his point. And so it made me think like when kids fucking like they grow up in an environment and like they see their parents like struggle and put in the work and then they hit it off big, like to the outside it's always that, you know, you made it overnight, but they don't see all the work that puts in. I think
Hmm.
when a kid actually sees that, even though they are reaping the benefits on the end, I think them seeing that struggle like throughout that process, I think that's just such a huge life lesson for them.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time. And I go overboard with that. Like I'm about a year deep into, I would call it a 5-year plan of writing a book called How to Make a Millionaire. And that's not me making myself a millionaire. That's me as a parent going through the long-term process of creating millionaires in my children.
Right.
And so it's fun now because I've I've kind of done it for multiple reasons, but let's say I've got my kids on a Saturday and we've got plans to do this and that. There's always business that needs to be done.
Yeah.
So instead of like having that internal battle and work-life balance, I just include them in on it.
Right.
Like, hey guys, this inquiry just came through the website. Help me write this sales email.
Nice.
Like they'll literally like help me do those things
Yeah.
from start to, we're on our way to the movies and it's ding ding ding. Here's the PayPal notification. Remember all that work we did this morning? Here's the real world result of that. And now guess what? We get to go do video games for an hour before the movie because we earned it.
Nice.
And it's that process is starting to become normal.
Yeah.
And so that the work-life balance stuff isn't even a factor, but also like it's ingraining in them that work ethic.
Right. Yeah, that's super important, I feel. Dude, I got the kids in the back right now as we're podcasting. Like, they're just back there chilling right now. And then after this, I have to go train a client. They're going to come with me to go do that. It's it's just a part of life, man.
Yeah.
I always like to say, like, work is a thing that you get to do, not a place you have to go. Because so many people are like, oh, I got to go to work. And, like, they just dread
Right.
going to work. And I understand. I definitely understand that because I've been there. Like, I've worked that corporate 9 to 5 and was super miserable through that time. But if you just kind of like change your mindset, and then also I realized like as I started doing my own thing that like work is like you're just always working. It doesn't really feel like it, like we were talking about being on social. Like you're making posts and you're doing things like that's work. Some people may not view that as work, but like that is work. Like I don't, or if you're going to have a dinner, like go and have dinner with a client or something, that's work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just in a different capacity, and it's not confined to these four walls. Like you're always working, but I don't ever really even view it as work anymore. It's just I'm just life.
Yeah. I forget who said it, but in a podcast recently, somebody referred to entrepreneurship as 4-dimensional.
Meaning,
There's different like time and space. It's not just this
it's like within the
2-dimensional surface. It's not this 3-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
It's literally like in my head, I know that there's something going on over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more than what we're saying.
Especially because, I can go anywhere and from start to finish, I can work from my phone.
Dude, your phone is easier now than it's ever been. It's more easy now than it's ever been, like to start a business
Mm-hmm.
and to get attention. We live in a time where attention pays a lot of money. How do you struggle with that? Do you struggle with that? I do. I
And
struggle with it.
I try and organize it. So in certain aspects, I'm because of being a film producer and a video editor, you have to be super organized.
Right.
OCD at sometimes, anal retentive, detail oriented. So I try and almost compartmentalize it. But if you, it's like anything, you eat the elephant one bite at a time. Or like Will Smith says, you build the greatest wall one brick at a time.
Yeah.
I've got over a dozen clients whose social media accounts I manage and run. And that's creating the content, creating the meme, writing the copy, posting it, researching almost every day what the trending hashtags are and what time of day is best to post.
For 12 businesses?
Yeah, but
what level of frequency are you posting for each of these? Is it vary?
A couple times a day, depending on if they're pushing something or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's for engagement, sometimes it's for a call to action. But there's two big elements to that, and that's preparation and organization.
Yeah.
And delegation.
Yeah, okay. So you're not creating all this content solo, right?
I'm not by myself in this.
Okay, I was gonna say, dude, that's fucking
Yeah.
you're superhuman, bro. Say 12 accounts creating the content and posting it, like that's a lot.
Yeah, I'd be like this during the podcast if that were the
It's your
case.
whole life, yeah. Okay.
But I've spent enough time doing production, photography, videography, and then also like the business side of it, the social media marketing and all of the analytics. I've done that long enough to where I've matched it with my other top skill, which is training and leading a group. So this last company that I started January 2018, Convergence Media Group, I did that on purpose because it's more of an umbrella. It's a group of creative professionals.
Mm-hmm.
It's a group of freelancers. I'm the only full-time employee for Convergence, but I've got 2.5 dozen guys and girls on the team.
Oh, nice.
Nashville, Chicago, Kansas City, just depending on what type of media needs to be produced that's determined by, who I delegate it to.
Oh, okay. So you're getting business in all these different areas and then you're dispersing that out to your contractors?
Mm-hmm. So, I'll get most of my clientele is small businesses that want to either grow engagement or get leads and sales.
Right. You have a lot of ties in Nashville, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's just say like you get like a business or you get like a contract in Nashville with a small business and they need some content produced, but like you're not able to get down there. Is that like a situation where you contact maybe one of your people down there? They go get with that business, get some content, shoot that back to you, and then you're going to handle the distribution of that for their site?
Yeah. Just recently I started getting to the point where I can book the client and then have like a Zoom video conference.
Dude, Zoom's changing shit.
With everyone involved. So I've got the guy that's going to do the copywriting and kind of run the posting on social media, the guy that's going to go to the site in Nashville and get the content, the guy that's going to edit the video, the voiceover talent. I get everybody on that one call, kind of like the coach before the game. And then everybody just keeps me posted according to whatever job duties they're doing along the way.
Yeah.
In a perfect scenario, when it all happens right, my job is to be the contact for the client.
Right.
And, hey, this is good. Deadline's been met. Here's the deliverables.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've taken yourself out of, in that scenario, like you've taken yourself out of like actually like doing the operational things, and now you're handling the clients, and you're doing more of like the
producer role.
Yeah, it's just we all have a role, right? You can't do it all.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it's at. It's so hard to build a team.
That's the hardest part. It's the biggest growing pain because there's so much time and money that goes into it. To find the right people first of all, and then train them for whatever you need to train them for, and then keep them.
Yeah.
Too many times you're dumping money into people that just don't work out, or good people that don't stick around because they find a better thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's a constant struggle with investment.
Yeah, man, because not like you said, not everybody's gonna stick around, and yeah, I don't know. It's like how do you manage that turnover rate? Because you want to at least keep people. I guess you can't expect people to always be there like forever, right? Especially if you have good people,
Hmm.
and then I mean, because you've been a mentor under people, and I'm sure they didn't expect you to stay with them forever,
Right.
right? But it's man, that's definitely a tough balance to fucking deal with. I don't have a team of people, so I don't know what it's like.
It'll get there though. The biggest thing about this podcast is the content.
Yeah,
Like you're putting 100% focus on the content, so that and obviously the audio, the content and the audio quality. Those are the first two steps, and that's what you have.
yeah,
Like it doesn't it could be, it doesn't matter that there's even a video. It could just be the logo with the audio podcast.
I did that too.
But the content is so compelling that it's keeping the viewer
Yeah,
or the listener,
yeah,
and it'll easily grow from there.
yeah, man. But as you grow, things get more complicated.
More money, more problems.
More money, more problems. Biggie had it right, dude. I don't know those problems just yet, though. I'm trying to solve that piece of the puzzle. So we were talking about how the different pillars, right? So many people, they only focus on like one pillar or the other. You know what I mean? And like you see it all the time. People figure out like that money piece. Like that's where I'm trying to figure out. And I'm trying to figure out that money situation, like that money piece. And like, because I feel like once you figure out that money piece, like it buys a lot of freedom. Like you own your own time. Like you have
Hmm.
all this different freedom. And I think where people fuck up is whenever they focus on the money and then they don't focus on these other areas of their life, right? Like that's why you see all these affluent, wealthy people committing suicide and they're super depressed because they don't have all these other areas of their life in order.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they have to dump a bunch of money into it because they're just completely lonely and sad
Yeah.
because they neglected all of the other pillars.
Yeah.
Or they get all this money and then they get colon cancer.
Dude, it happens.
Or something like
It
that.
happens
So
all the time.
you
Man.
can't neglect a pillar, but at different times of your life, depending on what's important, you can always change priorities of what those pillars are.
Right. Right. Yeah, I feel like I have all these other pillars kind of in line. I just need to get that money one, too.
Mm-hmm.
Buy that fucking freedom, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Buy that freedom. Yeah, so I was asking earlier about the college thing because when you answered it because you were saying that you're gonna pay for college or business for your sons. Cause dude, I feel like in today's society we push so many kids to college, and I think maybe like my generation was kind of on the. I saw a meme talking about this. Like we were in this weird spot, my generation personally, where like we're all being like force fed college,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like right on the tail end of like people realizing that like college may not be the answer, but like my generation was like, well, college is the answer, and then so we all went and got our degree. We thought like we worked hard and we got our degree, then
Then what?
life's gonna be great, right? Like you're gonna have this awesome corporate job and
Yeah.
be killing it. But then like I quickly realized like, dude, that's not the fucking path necessarily. Like there's a whole bunch of other paths. Like sure that is a way, but it's not the only way.
Right.
There's a lot of different ways to make it. And as a result, like now I just have all these student loan debts. I'm just like, what the fuck for, man? Like I could have just went into business
Yeah.
or done anything. Like both of my little brothers, like they haven't went to college, and the one just graduated. He's 19 now. He just graduated last year. I'm like, dude, just like if you don't know what you want to do yet, take some time, chill out, like
Mm-hmm.
work, save some money, like figure it out. Like you don't have to go like put yourself in debt to figure it out, which a lot of kids do, like, and I did. And like it's just I just feel like it's just not the only way. There's just so many different ways to make it in this world, and so many different ways to like learn those lessons. And to I mean, life is fucking long, man. Life is long. You don't have to have it figured out by the time you're like 18 or 19.
Right. And it's almost impossible too. The only thing that, in retrospect that I could like recommend, the thing that I'm going to recommend to my kids is, what do you like? And find a mentor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my oldest right now, he's like, I kind of want to be a vet. It's like, okay, well, go deeper on that so that you don't end up with a college degree as a vet
Yeah.
with a ton of student debt,
Yeah.
and you're just sticking needles in cats all day.
Yeah.
When what you really meant was, I like going to the zoo. I want to help do surgery on rhinos.
Right.
You know, like something a little more specific.
Or maybe you want to fucking go to like Africa and help like the wildlife
Mm-hmm.
population there. Or maybe you want like like there's a million different things that you could possibly want to do with animals.
Yeah.
But for some reason there's just this one narrative. Oh, go be a vet.
Yeah. Well, like Gary Vee says, you know, when you're young and you don't have kids and you don't have a ton of financial responsibilities, just taste everything
Oh man.
until you like until you like something, and then set a plan or a goal and reverse engineer it.
Yeah.
That's like the key to life.
Dude, that's so much money right there, dude. That one piece of advice, that's so huge. Man, I wish I would have heard that shit.
Right?
The internet has changed some shit, man. Like, I mean, I had like we had the internet whenever I was like in high school, but it was like we were on MySpace and and like I'm on like that piff, like looking up like like mixtapes and shit like that. I wish I would have been smarter. Hindsight's always 2020 to like really go out and seek some of these different people. But at that time, man, there weren't the Gary V's and Andy
Right.
Frisellas, and like they just weren't there, like on the internet for you to go find and to like lead you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So instead, you go to your guidance counselor and you go to and you go do this other thing. But dude, there's just so many different ways to make it. So you've been through several changes as far as like your career. You know what I mean? Like, I want to start kind of. You were in sales 1st.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? I've done a lot of sales.
I was 17, going into junior, senior year of high school. I went from private school to public school. So my first 2 years of high school was private school. And then when I went to public school, they're like, yeah, you already have enough credits to graduate. So
Oh, really?
what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'm not doing the college thing. So the other option was to do this thing called co-op. So senior year, you could go to school half a day with the focus being on like business classes. And then second half a day, you get
to work.
credit to go to work.
Yeah,
And I was like, cool, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I want to make money. And so that quickly went into like telemarketing jobs. I sold pizza coupon booklets door to door. I sold knockoff cologne door to door.
Dude, that door-to-door sales life is hard.
It's hard, and I fell into like a pyramid scheme type company, but it was honestly the best thing that ever happened to me.
It's a good learning lesson.
Like within days, I was in a group of 30-year-old men in a carpool driving out to subdivisions, knocking on doors. I was 17 years old. I had the chin strap, so I didn't look it. But I was 17 years old, knocking on people's front doors, trying to sell them knockoff cologne.
That's funny.
And getting into that habit of, you know, this guy does it really well, so I'm going to learn how he does that and then do it myself. I got really good at it. I was selling pizza coupons, right? And it just escalated from there.
Yeah. It
just
eliminates
escalated
that
from
fear of
there.
talking to people, which is really
It's
important.
huge, and that's
Yeah.
like the number one thing. Like today's creatives, freelancers that work with me, they're amazing at creating this cool thing, but they can't hold a conversation with a client or sell a client to save their life because they've never had to.
Yeah.
You know, it's never been do or die.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how good your work is if people don't like you.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a fact of life. Like, you can be the most competent at whatever it is you're doing, but if people don't like you, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge. And vice versa, people who are extremely likable but maybe not as good, like, they get a ton of business.
It was like the biggest, I don't want to call it hustle in the wedding industry, but I learned as a photographer and videographer, if you focus on the relationship and in the planning and also the day of the wedding, by the time you get done with the wedding day, if your client feels like they have a friend in you, it doesn't matter what the product looks like. They're going to like it.
100%. Dude.
I mean, by default, it was
just-
always a good product.
That's just good business, though.
Right.
Building relationships,
Right.
creating connections.
Because if you go into that day and you've never spoke to them before or you're not outgoing, you're just the creepy guy in the corner of the hotel room while the girls are getting their hair
Yeah,
done.
taking pictures.
You know?
Like, yeah.
And then you give them this amazing product and all they remember is that you were a creepy guy.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work. So if you come out of your shell and you build that rapport and you become a friend for the day, it's almost like the photos are secondary.
Right. Yeah. That makes me think of, people always remember, how you make them feel, not what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's true.
100%.
Yeah.
100% accurate.
I mean, I've done some door-to-door sales. I didn't really appreciate it in high school. We used to do a lot of fundraising for sports, whether it was football or wrestling, and oftentimes I'd have to go fucking like door to door, just pick a neighborhood. I always try to pick the wealthy ones. I'm knocking on doors. Do you guys want to buy this like saver card? Like you go to like 10 businesses and save some. Did that for a number of years, right? So that, and then actually sold cable door to door. Like when I was living in Texas, that wasn't fun. It was hot as hell. It was the middle of the summer, knocking on doors, selling fucking cable and internet and shit. Oh god, and there's more AT&T down there than there was. Well, I guess it was Time Warner's where I worked for, but those are like the two big ones. So that'd be like Charter here. I'm just like, man, this sucks. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody.
But I feel like it should almost be required.
Yeah.
Like to be successful, what do you need? You need good communication skills. You need to be able to sell because cash flow is king.
Yeah.
Right. And public speaking is a really,
Yeah.
talking to a group is a great thing.
Yeah, and getting over the unknown, dude, it's nerve-wracking knocking on a door and you don't know who's going to answer. Like, you don't know who's on the other side. You don't know what kind of mood they're going to be in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, this shit is nerve-wracking,
Yep.
bro. But it is. It's definitely a good lesson. Like, I mean, you learn to get, like, thick skin. You hear no a lot, and you just figure it the fuck out, man. Sales jobs are definitely good. Dealing with public, I feel like, especially when you're young, it's a good skill set to have. I've had so many jobs. It's ridiculous. So many sales. I've sold fucking shoes. I've sold jewelry. I've been a debt collector, bro.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think before 23 is when I started my first business. But from 17 to 23, I must have had like a dozen like real jobs.
Yeah.
I was 19 working in the collections department at MCI WorldCom, like calling people and collecting credit card numbers on past due phone bills.
Yeah, it sucks.
It was crazy. And just to think that like who I was at that time, being in that type of responsible position, holy shit. Yeah. Who let me do that?
People are trusting you with some pretty sensitive information.
Yeah, and once I got comfortable, I would call people and I would have like a country accent or like an Indian accent, and I would hold it through the entire conversation.
Oh, you're better than me.
I was getting credit card numbers as an Indian guy.
Wow.
At 18, 19 years old.
You're silly, bro. You didn't get in trouble for that?
No, I mean, I do vaguely remember like clearing it with my manager, and he was like, if you make it authentic and they believe you, there's not an issue. Just know that our calls are being recorded.
Right.
So if for whatever reason you get called out on it and, they complain, it's probably going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But I was so in that, I'm my own boss. You can't tell me nothing. Like I knew that I could hold it. I could carry it through.
Yeah, you had that confidence. You're a confident dude.
You have to be.
You have to be.
You have to be.
Dude, confidence is key, man. I say that all the time. Like, you don't have to know what the fuck you're doing, but you got to have confidence. Well, it helps to know what you're doing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you come from nothing, if you have the desire to be successful and also the integrity to say, okay, if I make a promise, it literally is going to be whatever it takes to deliver. Yeah. That's the other part of it. With that, the whole fake it till you make it is okay. And
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I feel like,
it's like,
what's your intention behind faking it, if you will? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, perception is reality. So, I could meet you for the first time and say my name was Frank. And as long as I held to that, you would think my name was Frank, right?
Right, that's so true. I have this weird thing because I always want to. I was like, man, I'm just gonna start working on accents, and then I'm just gonna go be just talking with a different accent to somebody. But then I feel like they fucking know. I'm like, they know. So then in my head, I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean that was
out.
everything. When I was 17, 18, I was 17 years old, May of 2000. I went into a job interview to be a wedding DJ. And the requirement was you had to be 18 and work there. But I was like, I want to do this. So I went in, I wore a tux, I had the chin strap, I was adult with my vernacular.
Yeah.
And I went through the entire interview, and then finally at the very end, he had just so happened to be flipping through my resume, and he's like, or my application. He goes, wait a second, how old are you? I was like, I'm 17. I'm a month away from graduation, a month away from being 18. He's like, I'm not supposed to be able to hire you yet, but I have to.
Yeah.
And so I got hired as a wedding DJ. I was doing senior proms and lock-ins as a DJ before my own senior prom in Lockett.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope.
And like, unless I told them I was 17, they probably would have thought I was 23, 24.
Yeah, because you just carried yourself that way.
Yeah. So that was the whole like fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
But with integrity.
Yeah, 100%. Like you can't be like disingenuous, but it's like it's living with intention and intent, and it's like it's that whole law of attraction. You know what I mean? Especially in business, right? Like we have these plans and like these high aspirations. If you're doing it right, I mean, right, you should have some crazy fucking goals that sound crazy to other people, right? But, you have to think about it and speak about it as if it's already there. You know what I mean? Like even though it's not there yet and you're not quite there, if you don't truly believe it and if you don't act accordingly, then it really won't happen. So it's like you kind of have to do that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
and I'm all about it, and I even take it way further. Like it's like if you want a new car, make room in your garage. You know what I mean?
Yeah, create the space for it.
There's that joke, you can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket.
Yeah,
right.
That's so true.
So I mean, there were times where I was like, I need this much money in the next 30 days to handle this and this and this and this and this. And I would actually like have cut out pieces of paper, and I would have like my headphones on, whatever, and I'm like got my eyes closed and I'm shuffling through this paper, like feeling how good it would feel to have this cash in my hand.
Yeah, that's complete visualization, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and 30 days later, I made that 10 grand.
That's dope. Yeah, the smell
and from that moment on, I was like, yep, I'm going to sit in my recliner and I'm going to pretend that I'm driving the Bentley because it works.
Yeah.
You can't just want it to happen, though. Like, you have to have that, and then you have to put something into action.
Right.
To get there.
Yeah, that's the second half of like the law of attraction that people like to neglect, right? I mean, it's cool to visualize, that's super important, but you have to go put in the work.
Yeah. And that comes back to the joke, like the guy prays to God every day for a month to win the lottery, and finally after 30 days God shows up and says, if you want to win the lottery, you got to buy a fucking ticket.
Yeah.
So you can't just want it to happen, you have to take action.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes me think of like the meme where it's like a big ass like truck, it's empty, and it's like truck full of prayers like arriving at, I don't know, fill in the like the catastrophe site. It's like, I mean, your
what
thoughts,
does it actually do?
Yeah, your thoughts can only do so much. Like you got to put in some of the work. Go do something. Yeah, dude. So you got into DJing. What was like your music taste like back then, or what is your music taste like?
Well, now it's way different than it was then.
Yeah, so let's go back to then, and then we'll talk about now.
So high school, I was one of probably 15 white kids in my graduating class of 250. So, I'm traditionally a white kid from the hood.
Okay, so you're hip.
So growing up, it was everything from Limp Bizkit to Bone Thugs and Harmony to Insane Clown Posse to Nirvana.
Okay, I like all those.
It was all of that.
Maybe less ICP. Back in the day, though, I liked them.
What is
that chocolate love?
I was hardcore painting my face at school, and
you were a juggalo?
I was 100% a juggalo. Yeah, very much so.
That's all right.
And I don't regret it.
Rocking
I don't
the
regret
Jinkos?
it.
You had the Jinkos?
Yeah. Oh, I had
I had some Jinkos.
Black corduroy Jinkos.
Yeah, dude. Bigger than your fucking shoe. You step on them, tear them up. Because they looked better when they were torn up at the bottom. My mom used to be so pissed off.
Yeah, it was authentic because you bought them for like $80, right?
Dude, they're expensive, bro. Go to JCPenney's and get those.
But now I would say it's there's nothing that I really don't like, but I use it almost like therapy. Yeah. So it depends on the mood, the time of the day, the location.
Yeah.
It could be anything across the spectrum.
Yeah.
My go-to is kind of like anything where the artist has the last name Marley.
Okay.
I like to say that. It could be Bob. It could be Steve.
Ziggy.
Ziggy. I shot Ziggy in concert. I love Damien.
Okay.
But 311. If I had to name one band, that'd probably be my all-time favorite.
What's your band?
For many reasons. I feel like it's the Nirvana of my generation, but it's also because I've photographed them in concert several times over.
So you're like a special connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was one of those like first milestones of like, okay, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna get somewhere.
It's like that was like the real like validation. It's like, all right, man, like I'm doing this.
Well, it went from childhood band that I liked to now I'm getting paid to photograph them in concert.
Yeah.
And no one has a closer seat than I do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm this close to the lead singer, and when he has everybody put his lighters up, I turn around and there's just a sea of lighters behind me. And it's like, I have the best seat in the house, and they're paying me to be here.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than that.
No,
I'm going to take that and scale it.
Dude, yeah. It's so weird when you start getting around those, like those people that at one point, like, I don't know if this, let's just say like there are like different tiers of success. Like when they're like just on like this different tier, and then all of a sudden like you're around those same people, just like in a very like casual way or like in a business way. It's like, how the fuck did I get here? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you are just a human, just like me. It's like, it's a very surreal feeling.
Yeah.
We were in Austin, and I went to for this Paleo FX conference, this health conference, and then there was like this after party after it, thrown by the Caveman Coffee Crew. So we're there, and there's like Tate Fletcher there, and like Ben Greenfield's there, and like Mike Bledsoe, like just some health guys, and I'm just like, how the fuck did I get here? I'm like, what's going on in this world? Like, it was just like the most surreal feel. I couldn't even believe it was life. Like, is this real life right now? Like, Tate Fletcher's right there. Ben Greenfield's right there. Like, what in the fuck is happening? Like, I can't believe this. Like, a year ago, I was just like a fan of Ben Greenfield, and like now I'm here like kicking it with you at a party. Like, this is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Life is just weird.
I've had a lot of that. The big push, I guess, was early 2016. I found my business mentor on Periscope, Sean Thomas, Ask a Millionaire. He sold his company for $20 million and started doing like philanthropy, where he would just go on live streams and like mentor people. Mm-hmm. And so I found him. I picked him up. He was definitely my breed. So I was like, this is my dude.
Yeah.
This is my next mentor. I want to be where he's at. And towards the end of 2016, he hit me up as the video expert that he knew. And he was like, hey, I'm done with philanthropy. It's exploding. I want to turn it into a business. Mm-hmm. You're the guy I know. Here's a couple resumes of guys in Nashville that I want you to vet them and tell me who I should hire. And at that particular time, I was already kind of training somebody to be like manager so I can step back as the owner. And I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to sell him my company, and I'm coming to Nashville, and I'm your dude. I'm going to work right alongside you, and I need that day-to-day training, mentorship. Dude. And so that's what I did. Inside of 30 days, I was gone from St. Louis, and I was in Nashville just jumping in the deep end.
All in.
And I was there for just over a year before I moved back to St. Louis. But, yeah, I was, going out to dinner and hanging out with everyone else in the room but me as millionaires,
Yeah, it's a weird feeling.
But it got to the point where it didn't bother me. And unless I would have said something, no one else would have known that I wasn't also a millionaire.
Yeah.
And because of my mentor, Sean, and his mentor, Tom, who I also pulled on as a sales mentor, unless they told you, you would have never known that they were millionaires.
Yeah, because they're so down to earth.
They're so down to earth. Like, unless he pulls up in his Bentley, you would never know.
Yeah.
This pinnacle moment was I moved down there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm rocking with millionaires. It's private jets and champagne, right? And the first flight that we get on to go somewhere, we're sitting in coach, and he pulls a PBJ in a little sandwich bag out of his backpack, and instantly I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
This is
why you are where you are.
Yeah. And so that for me was huge.
Yeah.
To kind of like, okay, reset, stay humble, don't be broke, but don't be poor but live broke.
Right.
There's a difference between poor and broke.
Huge difference, right? Like, poor is a mindset. Mm-hmm. It really is. Like, you can be broke and not have money, but when you're poor, like, that's a totally different mindset that you live in that space, and like you can never get out of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Big difference.
So running in those circles and always being around guys that had money and success on a daily basis was huge for me.
Yeah.
And then when I brought that back to St. Louis, I started going hard with it.
Yeah.
And regardless of how much I've scaled since then in the last year and a half, or how different the revenue streams might be.
Yeah.
It's, I'm going to eat Ice Cube soup until I know that I never have to again.
Yeah. It's only temporary, dude.
Yeah.
That's what I think about, because like I think about like what car I want to buy. Like I want to buy like a sick ass. Like I've never been a car guy, but like I really would like to buy like a fucking expensive, like maybe it just sounds super hippie of me, but like a souped up fucking Tesla, dude. Like with like no regulators on it, like the fucking insane mode or ludicrous mode or shit, whatever's on. And then that shit can just drive me, and I can do work while it's driving me, and it's a sick ass car, and I'm like not hurting the environment. But I don't know what the fuck my point was, dude. I had a point with that. I fucking lost it. What did you just say? You were talking about mentors.
Something that Sean does that I like is kind of the
Oh, I know what I was gonna say.
the win-win situations.
Yeah.
So like, he's got the cars, he's got the Range Rover, Maserati, Bentley, but like he'll bring people into his circle.
Yeah.
So, somebody that is good at like an administrative assistant type stuff, but doesn't really have a specific skill set, he'll bring them in and they're doing specific tasks, but that also includes like driving him. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, fancy, oh, I have a driver. It's, I'm just going to sit in the passenger seat while this person can be on the clock and earning more money.
Yeah, it's helping them.
The money that I'm paying them is way worth it because I can now sit in the passenger seat and make what I'm worth by doing what I do on my phone.
Because his time's more important. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know what my point was with that. I'm driving this shitty Mazda now. I look at it, I'm like, oh, it's not the nicest car, but it's serving a fucking purpose. Mm-hmm. It gets me to point A to point B. And I know whenever I do fucking make it, I'm like, I'm probably going to miss that car. And like, I'm like, that's the fucking shit. Like, those were the good times. I try to keep in mind that this is the good times. Like, like it sucks in the moment, but it's like, that 0 to that first million is like the hardest part, but like that's where all the best lessons are learned. Yeah. Right. So I try to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That way you can look back on it instead of, oh, I don't know what happened. My horse blinders were too big.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're involved in the sub 5 tournament coming up.
Yeah. So Eric Clarkson, owner and head coach of River City Warriors.
It's you and him, right? Putting this on?
And also Danny Axe. Wildridge. He's the head kickboxing coach at River City.
Okay.
So I hooked up with Eric. I was actually referred to him back in like 2016 when I decided to come back to the world of MMA for training. And so that's when I was introduced to Eric. But yeah, recently he decided to take his promotion, which was Proving Grounds. Proving Grounds Combat Sports Association. They've done a bunch of different types of.
Are they still going to be doing MMA, or are they going to stop doing the Proving Grounds and just go straight into the sub 5?
So there's a focus on sub 5, to kind of blow that up.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not taking focus away from anything else. Next year I'm sure there's going to be this tournament and that tournament, a kickboxing and Muay Thai maybe. Mm-hmm. But the sub 5 is the focus right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of quintet style, right? 5-on-5 duel.
Yeah, Eric hit me up. He wanted to bring me in as like the production/marketing guy. So I'm partner in the promotion.
Okay.
But yeah, sub 5. It's basically if you take the flashiness of like a fight to win, or I hate to say WWE, but
that's the business model.
You're taking professional grappling, not just jiu-jitsu, but all professional grappling, and you're making it a spectator sport.
We're gonna do combat grappling.
It's
combat jiu-jitsu.
Black belt rules. There's some.
Well, not for this, but like in the future with like open palm strikes.
Oh, like for me personally, I definitely want to see that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to do it, but I know some people like combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I've seen it, and I think that's definitely next level stuff.
I don't want to get hit anymore. It's not fucking fun.
The sub 5 stuff is very exciting though, because there's a lot of elements involved that you just have never seen before, especially regionally or locally.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what I can give away and what I can't.
That's all right.
So taiko drums, like the big Japanese drums. Mm-hmm. There's a St. Louis Osua Taiko Drum Orchestra. They play at like Missouri Botanical Gardens and the Japanese Garden a bunch. So we've actually partnered with them.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So for everything as far as like the promo score music to live performance at the event,
Oh shit.
we're going to have the full drum ensemble. So
this is
instead
gonna
of
be
like
full
a
on
DJ playing some bullshit music when the fighters come in, it's going to be like
boom,
war
boom.
drums.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be
And
cool.
it's like
Ooh.
we've been to a couple practices to pick the music for different things, and
Yeah.
it's like you can't help but just get pumped and want to hit something.
Oh, that's gonna be cool, dude. Ooh, this is gonna be a fun event.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. We've got Stuart Fulton being a live stream commentator.
I don't know who that is.
He's from Quintet. I think also Pancrase, is it?
Okay. I might know his voice.
He's an Australian guy, super awesome dude. He knows his shit.
Yeah.
So he's going to be the live stream commentator. We're doing live stream on Fight TV.
Okay.
We were thinking about flow grappling, but we're going to take a different approach because there's not a lot of grappling on Fight TV. So
Yeah.
we want to kind of stand out a little bit.
I know Shamrock just switched over to Fight TV.
Yeah. which is fine. It's not. You know, I think it's an awesome thing, and I think Fight TV's really up in their game.
I had never heard of him until that.
Yeah, they're. I hate to call them a sleeping giant, but you know,
They
for
might be.
everybody that knows UFC Fight Pass and Flow Grappling, I mean, Fight TV's got like 1.5 million subscribers.
Oh wow,
You know,
they're
like
huge.
their social is on lock, and
Yeah.
they just hired like a whole team for like social media
Yeah.
and marketing specifically.
Oh,
So
that's gonna be cool.
yeah, we're excited about that.
What's that company that owns? I don't know if they own Viacom, but I think Bellator streams through them. What's that network that they're on now? Do you know?
Mm-mm.
I don't know either. I can't think of the name. But it's like one of the largest like fucking networks like in the world, kind of like outside of the US. So like my point to I can't remember the name, but my point with that was like with Fight TV, there are a lot of these like big channels that just aren't as well known like in the US.
Right.
But they're fucking huge everywhere else.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we
This is coming up in September, right?
September 21st is the first event, Ignition.
I should know I'm on it.
Yeah, you're on it. I can't wait. Like it's the teams are such heavy hitters.
Yeah.
We're also trying to do like a super fight, I guess you would call it.
That'd be cool.
Eric's in charge of all the teams, so you know I'm not that deep in the grappling and jiu-jitsu world to be able to name drop.
No, I got it.
But there's some pretty big names.
Yeah, well, you got your responsibilities, which is a handful, I'm sure. I mean, promo on a brand new event. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, just from the staffing for video and photo and the live streaming, I've got 13 people on staff for that event.
oh wow, yeah.
I mean, we're doing instant replay, 4 to 6 camera multicam switching.
Oh yeah.
It's high production.
Oh nice.
High production.
That'd be good. That'd be good. I got to compete in one of the On It Invitationals, the On It, and like that production, I was surprised. Like it's a pretty decent production, but it wasn't that big. Like there weren't that many because they did it live as well, and then they stream it out. But like it wasn't like it's not a very big. At least whenever I went, it wasn't a very big grappling room. I think they had like 2 rows of like small bleachers, like 3 or 4 row like little bleacher seatings on each side with like I think a row of chairs, and then on this side of the mat was like 1 or 2 rows of chairs, and then they had like the commentator booth.
Wow.
So like it wasn't a very big event, but they had like, you know, like the little metal. They're not rafters, but like the little metal setup for like the lights and shit.
Truss.
Yeah, they had all that set up. So
Like the crossbars in a cube, like a long.
yeah, well, no, it wasn't. They didn't have that set up over the mat, but they had that same material like set up around like the announcer's booth. Like, so if I'm in the booth, like on both sides, and then they're one, is that still the same thing? Is it still called that?
Yeah, truss system.
Yeah. So they still, but they had that part, so it still looked nice, and they had lights up there going down. So it was like, man, it's just you can just do so much with so little, and it's taking part in that event and then visiting on it a few times. Like I just realized, with the right production, like you can create this larger than life image in people's minds, and I mean that's where it's at.
Yeah, I took the model from what we used to do with weddings.
Yeah.
So for a few years, I helped run the biggest wedding production company in St. Louis, and the transition was instead of dropping a bunch of money in on like the Hyatt Regency downtown.
Yeah.
Go get the VFW hall and then dump a bunch of money into pipe and drape and uplighting. Like take a empty shell and transform it into whatever you want, and you have more control over making it look awesome.
Yeah.
It's the same way. Like we could have went Family Arena or Chaffetz, but instead we're going
$10,000 a day.
We're going North County Recplex, and we're literally building it out with lights, camera, action. You know, we're draping off the windows. We've got a projector screen with a huge black wall and the mat and the truss. You know, we've got Iron Man sound coming in.
Yeah, well, you're creating an experience, which is huge. I mean, you mentioned WWE, and that's a perfect business model because, I mean, Dana White modeled the UFC after that. Dana White and the Fertittas. They used that business model to help them with the UFC because nobody does entertainment better than fucking professional wrestling. The proof is in the numbers, and they've been around for how long? Still killing it.
It's entertaining. It's a spectator sport.
Yeah.
You know, like everybody complained when jiu-jitsu became big in UFC, like, oh, they're just laying on the ground for 15 minutes. It's not fun to watch. But the whole quintet fight to win aspect of it, you know, when guys are like, okay, well, if I don't submit my opponent, I get eliminated too. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And if I submit him quick, I'm going to have enough gas to go up against the guy that's on his team that's coming up right after him.
Yeah. So hold up. So that was because dude, I don't follow this shit enough. So if nobody gets a submission, both people are eliminated?
Yes.
Are they doing that for sub 5?
Yes.
That's good to fucking know, man. Yes. It's good to know.
There's no...
So you have to get a submission.
There's no faults. And then it's EBI overtime rules.
And if nobody wins in overtime, then both people are out. Okay. Yeah. That's good to know. That's good to know.
It's 10-minute rounds.
Yeah.
It might be a shorter round if like the weight is a certain difference. Yeah. So it's weight by team, not weight by competitor.
Yeah. Do you know what the cap is?
Like nine something.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's tapping into Eric's realm of
it's totally fine. I was hoping you had these details because I don't have them.
But no, I like it because it kind of forces guys to get aggressive and engage.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the whole idea of submission only.
There's no judges.
Right. There's no judges. There's no points. There's no advantages. You just fucking go after the person and get submission.
And do it quick because technically, if you don't want to get eliminated, you got 4 more of his teammates to run through.
Yeah. Damn, dude. Well, that's going to be a hell of an event, man. I'm looking forward to it. Let's wrap this up because I got something to do, and I want to be respectful of your time as well.
Oh, wow. We've been here for a minute.
Yeah, we've been going for a little bit. What was I going to say? Oh, I'm going to turn it over to you. Anything that you want to – we've kind of talked a little bit, but anything like you want to plug, promo, tell people how they can get a hold of you, ask questions, say hi, whatever. Floor is yours, my man.
Yeah, I think the biggest exciting thing right now is the Sub 5 tournament. You know, anybody that's going to be watching this podcast is probably going to be most interested in that. September 21st, Sub 5. It's at the North County Recplex. Just look up Sub 5 on Facebook or Instagram. Tickets are already being sold. You're in it, so obviously it's going to be good.
Yeah, and I'll put in the show notes. And then your socials?
So the business is Convergence Media Group. Anywhere on social is at Convergence MG.
Okay. IG, Twitter, Facebook.
Facebook and Instagram. Okay. I don't really do the Twitter thing. It's still too much of a fire hose right now. But yeah, Instagram and Facebook. Website convergencemg.com.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm not trying to plug for too much business.
It's all good, dude.
But, obviously if somebody out there has a brand or a business and they're looking to scale or increase their leads or revenue through marketing or media production, that's what I do. So
hit up Riq Dilly.
Yeah.
What the Dilly, yo? How many times have you heard that?
Forever.
All right, my man. Hey, dude, I really appreciate it. All right, everybody. Till next time.